G'day mates, today's video is an absolute stacker. We have Riftigos and vehicles being completely vaulted from competitive. We have the new addition of the Grapple Glove. We have a new arena rank system with proper ranks at the top division. So if you're at 4,000 points, you're not versing people on 1,000,000 anymore. We also got information about what's going on with the FNCS 22 Invitational LAN event, who's being invited and why. We have information on when arena points are resetting, when cash cups are starting, a new Discord that you guys can join to directly talk to the Fortnite competitive team, and I want to cover everything that's going on with DreamHack Sweden in a few days. As you can hear, massive video. Let's just jump into it. I know I'm a day late on this one, guys. I apologize. Epic loves dropping these massive updates when I'm traveling and I can't record a video. I was in LA yesterday. I've just flown in today and I'm flying out to Sweden tomorrow for DreamHack, which I'm talking about later in the video, but I wanted to talk about this massive update. Fortnite Status tweeted out, we have made some changes to competitive playlists. They've removed all remaining vehicles from the game. They've removed Riftigos. They've added the Grapple Glove, and it doesn't say so on this tweet. We've also had some changes made to the upcoming arena system to attempt to make it more competitive. So it's a lot to talk about. Let's address the first one. The remaining cars are now gone. Now, I'm a little bit sad to see this, and hear me out. I know the vehicles were causing massive issues. They are apparently leading to a lot of the server lag, but even when we've had no vehicles, the servers have still been pretty laggy. So I don't know how much that is the case, but when only a few drop spots are getting the vehicles and they're not so randomly or well spread out around the map, I'm not as happy with them. I feel like vehicles are a great rotation, especially for edge map drops, to get into zone, base up, not use too many material, and kind of make up for bad zone RNG. If you're a far south drop, you get a far north zone, there's still something you can do about it. But when the only remaining vehicles were pretty much clustered pretty close to the center of the map, or they seem to really be staying around the Rave Cave and Tilted Towers, I'm not too sad to see them go across the board. I would like to go back to a meta where we had vehicles more readily available around the map, just don't have cow catchers, and then just like we talked about when they were super broken, plowing through end games, running up low ground, just make it so they can't do that. We talked about ways you can balance cars, they don't break builds, or if they do break builds, they take considerable amount of damage, so you can't just keep plowing through low ground. But either way, the cars are gone. It's not the end of the world. I would have liked to see them revert back to the way they used to be, just not as overpowered, but it is what it is. The Riftigo being removed. Now, I'm quite happy about this one. I was really not looking forward to the Riftigo meta this season. I talked about that in a recent video. It's not even about the fact that people are like, oh, Aussie, comp players don't want anything fun in the game. I'm all for fun at the moment. I really am, and that's why I'm excited for the Grapple Glove, which I'll talk about in a second. But the Riftigo wasn't really fun, was it? It was just anytime someone got full box, they're about to get eliminated, like they should, because they've been outplayed at that point, they would pop a rift, they'd fly through the sky until endgame, they'd save all of their material, and at certain points you're watching endgames and 2/3 of the lobby are in the sky, 1/3 on the ground. I don't think it was going to be a great meta. I know some people are upset because they like playing with the Riftigos. I get that, but I think the majority of players who play competitive or even watch it can agree the Rift wasn't going to be too great for competitive. So replacing that with the Grapple Glove has been interesting. Now, if you guys haven't seen the Grapple Glove, it's basically a reskinned Spider-Man Mythic, but not quite. Originally, I thought it was just going to be a new look of the Spider-Man Mythic, but it does actually function quite differently. How you get it is quite similar. I'm going to show a map here, courtesy of NAE's comp report for making this. These are the 10 locations that the Grapple Glove spawns in, and there's 3 different spots at each of them. So technically, there's a chance of 30 of them spawning on the map. I've been told there has to be 100% guaranteed at least one at every drop spot, but you're not guaranteed 2. So that's what I kind of want to talk about as well. In duos, I don't know how viable the Grapple Glove is going to be. The next reason why I'm scared for its viability is just, it's a lot weaker than Spider-Man for 2 reasons. Firstly, the movement on it. It is not as fluid, it is not as fast. It's only after you do 3 successive like kind of grapples, I guess you want to call it, you start building up momentum, and that's when you start moving fast and it feels a bit more like Spider-Man. But if you're just going to do 1 swing, it's a lot slower than Spider-Man. 2, you can't pull out your weapons mid-air, so you can't pull out and shoot someone and then build around them, or you can't even just spray them with an SMG on the way down. When you're flying, you're a sitting duck. They can shoot you, you can't shoot them. Now, what are my thoughts on these changes? I'm actually pretty happy with it for competitive. I really like that for competitive because it's going to make the Grapple Glove a little bit more balanced. Because whenever I talk about these weapons, it's not just about them being fun, because I think the Grapple Glove is still really fun in endgames, swinging through endgames and getting cool positions, but you've got to balance that fun with a bit of risk. There has to be some kind of risk to using these items, like the inflatable that we love. If you get shot, you take 4 damage, only 1 bullet. Like I talk about with the bounce pads, if you use them poorly, you're just slowly flying through the sky and anyone can beam you. Launch pads, if you use them wrong, you get beamed. The Grapple Glove is the same now. now. If you get beamed, there isn't a lot you can do against it. If you're trying to like grapple up someone on high ground, they're gonna get the first chance to shoot at you rather than you getting a free high ground, you get a shot on them. So ultimately, I'm happy with the changes for competitive. Obviously, in public matches, in random queue solos, in arena even, I do like how zippy the Spider-Man was, flying around, pulling off sick tricks and really playing super aggressive. You can't really do that as much now, but some people are gonna like that. A lot of people weren't huge fans of Spider-Man just zipping around the map. They were getting third party constantly. They couldn't even hear the person coming, and all of a sudden they've just, you know, webbed up and shot them in the face. Like, it was a little bit broken at times. So across the board, I'm pretty happy with that update. It does mean the only mobility we have in the game right now is the Grapple Glove. And a few people have been asking me, Aussie, why are the launch pads not in the meta? And why are llamas not in the meta? And I did want to talk about this. We addressed this last season. There was a Discord bot that was made. It was basically a program that ran through Discord where you could put in the game ID, so the code of your game, and it would tell you where every llama and every launch pad on the map was. I believe that was why they originally took launch pads out of the game, but a lot of people were telling me you can actually use this bot to find Riftigos as well. And I was like, well, if that's the case, that must not be why launch pads are out of the game. But now with Riftigos being taken out, potentially that is why Epic doesn't have them in the game. It might not even be the fact that Epic doesn't like the meta of Riftigos like some of us have been talking about. Maybe it's just because there are these cheats where people are able to find them where the Grapple Glove spawns in the same spot. So it's really, really sad to see that that might be the reason why we are having the Fortnite meta affected, because like I've talked about in the past, I truly believe that launch pads and bounce pads should be two staples of basically every single competitive season. I think they should be in amongst other items. If you want to add some cool stuff like shockwaves or inflatables or a Grapple Glove, that's awesome, but I almost always think bounce pads and launch pads should be in the game. So that could potentially be why we've now seen the Riftigos vaulted as well. I'm not as sad to see them go, but if that's the reason for why they're gone, I am quite sad to see. That's why we're having meta changes made in Epic, because there's people out there cheating and Epic doesn't know how to stop it right now, so they're resorting to having to remove those items from the game. I guarantee Epic would want llamas in the game competitively if they could do it without people using these cheats. I almost guarantee. They've been in the game since the dawn of time. They've been reworked. Epic likes the concept of llamas, and now all of a sudden they're out of the game right as we have this Discord bot. It's too much of a coincidence. Sorry, I probably should mention I got a bit carried away there. The Grapple Glove has 10 uses in competitive and 30 uses in regular public matches. Again, I think a lot of people in public matches wanted this to be higher because it's a bit more fun to zip around and it's worth carrying. When you've got shockwaves and heavy snipes and a bunch of other cool items to choose from in public matches over the Grapple Glove, I just don't see myself using it that much. I'm actually playing pubs a lot myself on stream. I've really been enjoying playing the game a bit more casually, even though pubs are so sweaty right now, but I can't see myself using it. As far as competitive, when you think of competitive, you got to think of the FNCS game mode, which is duos, and I don't see a lot of people using this in duos. I just don't think they will. Unless you can get two of them, one person carrying a Grapple Glove with only 10 uses just isn't going to be that viable. Most teams will opt to run an extra weapon or extra med slot. Maybe if you can get two of them, you might run them that game, but when it's not 100% spawn rate and they're spawning a lot of them in pretty random locations, I just don't think people are going to prioritize them. As far as stack solos goes, like we have DreamHack coming up in a few days. That's going to be a $100,000 solo tournament. That is where I think they will be heavily used, and solo cash cups. But as far as actual competitive duo events goes, I don't think we're going to see that much of them. So we're pretty much back to a pretty similar to Chapter 2 Season 1 of no mobility meta. We have no Riftigos, we have no vehicles, and the only mobility we have is a very solo orientated mobility. So I really don't know how it's going to affect things. It looks like Epic is finally trying to make changes to the arena system to make it more competitive. And this is really good news. So they made a post saying, our intention is to provide a better quality matchmaking experience for players of all hype levels. Progressing to later divisions in arena may take longer for some, but the quality of games along the way should be improved from previous seasons. Players in our top division may experience longer matchmaking queue times in an effort to provide quality matches. So what that means is, instead of our current system of arena, where once you get to like, I think it's 4,000 or 5,000 points, you verse anyone above 5,000 points, which is one of the biggest issues with arena. If you watch Mr. Savage or Polarize or some of the guys who regularly play arena on stream, they're dropping 20 bombs on kids who don't even look like they know how to play because they're not even in champs yet, and they're getting match made against them. So Epic is taking that first step to making arena more competitive by lowering those queue divisions. So maybe if you only verse people from 10 to 20,000 points and 20 to 30 and maybe 5 to 7, so it just feels like you're you're versing people of your actual skill level. Now, the biggest issue with this, and we've always talked about this when we've talked about it, making arena more competitive, is queue times. When you have less people versing each other, the queue times are gonna get longer. And when arena already has pretty long queue times, especially in some of the smaller regions, that's scary. But I would argue the reason why arena queue times are so long is not because the player base isn't there, it's because people don't want to play arena because they think it's terrible and they know they're not going to gain anything from it. So it's going to be that balancing act of making Epic make sure the game quality is good, because even for really, really good rewards, most players won't keep grinding arena. If you just have to get, let's say, 20,000 points and you win 5,000 V-Bucks, let's say, a lot of people will do that, but once they get there, they're going to stop. Unless you just keep throwing a bunch of rewards and money at it, people aren't going to keep grinding. What people will grind for is good quality matches. People play scrims all day for 0 rewards. So people are willing to play just for good games. But if you can get that measure right, if you can make the games good and make the reward worth it, arena could be saved. I'm a little bit scared right now. The rewards aren't quite there. The only reward we get right now for arena is a gun wrap. And I don't think that's going to motivate people to sit through 5 or 10 minute queue times. I don't know how long the queues are going to be just to get a decent game and then that reward at the end of the season. If Epic starts adding incentives, like maybe it is V-Bucks, maybe it's like we've talked about where they bring out a skin every season, and based on how many points you get or what percentage of arena top you're in, you get a way cooler style of that skin. Or maybe there's exclusive tournaments that you only qualify to if you get even more points than Champions Division. Things like that could really turn arena around, and it's awesome to see that Epic has taken these steps in the right direction. They've now made the matchmaking more accurate and harder, and they've added rewards. I'm just a little bit scared that the rewards aren't good enough to actually equal out the matchmaking, but we're gonna have to see. I'm gonna stay positive, I'm gonna stay hopeful, and we'll see what arena looks like in the new season. And if this is a proper reworked arena system that has maybe some new rewards they announce along with it, this could be one of the first times in Fortnite history I'll argue that maybe the preseason wasn't the worst thing ever. I'd still argue you can do this at the start of a new season without a preseason, and you'd have a lot more hype because it would be the new season and people would be jumping in and playing for the first time. But I got to give Epic credit, we're taking good steps in the right direction. In this same blog post, they talked about arena. Epic addressed a couple of other discussion points that I haven't been able to answer with questions I'm getting. So they talked about the new super hype cups, saying if you want to get a head start on your arena progression, make sure you play in our super hype cups on June 18th and 19th. You'll have the opportunity to earn a significant amount of hype to start the competitive season, because that was what was really weird. We have the arena point reset taking place on 21st of June, if you guys missed out on that. And I was like, why is there a hype cup 2 days before the point reset? Why do I want hype points in this season? But what that means is you'll get the hype points in the new season. So a lot of pros who don't want to grind arena right now will see these hype cups as a chance to then earn arena points more easily to take in the new season. But then I would argue that goes against everything you're doing to try to rework the arena system, because you're still assuming that people don't want to play arena to get their hype. Make them play arena, but make it worth them playing arena to get there. So I was a bit confused by that one, but I wanted to make sure I talked about it. And we got information on the first cash cups. So they said our first wave of cash cups begins with the Zero Build Fridays and the Quick Cash Cups on June 24th, followed by the Duo Cash Cup on June 25th. Players must reach Contender League by then to be eligible to participate. So that means when arena points reset on the 21st, you're going to have 4 days to get to Contenders Division. Now, I believe Contenders Division, I think, is only 2,000 points. That shouldn't be too bad. I'll get confirmation. I'll get my editor put on the screen here if I was wrong, but I believe it's 2,000 points. So in 4 days, for most people who will actually compete in a cash cup and do well, that's not going to be so bad. If you've got school or work, you might have to give the first cash cup a miss, but I think that's a pretty good compromise across the board. Also, they did talk about claiming your competitive prizes. A whole bunch of people apparently have not claimed their prizes, and if you don't claim them, they will expire. So make sure if you've got some earnings, you've done that. And this one is interesting. Competitive Support Discord. Join today. We're excited to officially roll out our Fortnite Competitive Support Discord server. Players who experience issues while participating in our in-game tournaments may submit a ticket in the Fortnite Competitive Support Discord server for competition admins to review and support. You can also use the Fortnite Competitive Support Discord server to report any gameplay bugs or potential cheaters you may encounter or observe during the tournament. So it's gonna be interesting to see. We've had a Discord like this in the past where it's been closed, only certain pros have been invited, and from reports from people in there, it hasn't done a lot of good. I mean, maybe sometimes it's got cheaters detected earlier, but when we've made it through entire 3-hour tournaments without cheaters being picked up, clearly it wasn't doing good enough. So having an open Discord where maybe someone is monitoring it more closely would be really awesome during these tournaments, because that's the easiest way to find out if someone's cheating. I mean, if someone's cheating you go on Twitter, it's all you can see. But I'm guessing if Epic staff aren't actively following, you know, pros or, you know, semi-casual pros, they're not going to see that. So this Discord might be a better way to address that. So I think it's a cool step. I just wonder how active Epic's actually going to be with checking it. Last up, I know this was a big blog post. We got a lot of information covered. We got more details on what's going on with the FNCS Invitational 2022. So if you guys remember, there was a LAN event that was announced with about a $1 million prize pool. It's going to be taking place later in the year, and it's going to be in North Carolina, and it's going to be kind of like a mini World Cup. But people are upset to find out you can't qualify for it through any direct tournament. You have to be invited. A lot of us assumed that the invitation process would be some process of how well you placed in FNCS, how well you've placed in previous tournaments. I'm sure clout is going to be a factor as well. You're going to want to invite the big names that people care to watch, but I really do hope the main factor is who is recently placing and doing well. Epic shed some light on this. They said, we've noticed a few of the same questions surfacing regarding the FNCS Invitational 2022 and want to take time to answer what we can right now. How do I get invited? There is no specific qualification path or method for players to receive or otherwise request an invitation to participate in the FNCS Invitational 2022. To be clear, all invites will be awarded at our sole discretion, Epic. However, performing well in this season's FNCS is a potential way to catch our eye. The first wave of invitations will begin in the coming weeks, so we're going to know potentially soon if people are going to get invited, like in the next few weeks, and that might be some of those big names that you'd imagine, like maybe Clicks, Benji Fishy Savage, Booga, Miro, maybe those players who have been performing really well and they're going to assume that people want to see. I would like a bit more information. I do feel like that is a little bit upsetting. There's going to be pros that I know who are going to deserve to go who aren't going to be invited, but at the end of the day, it's a super exciting event. I'm still super stoked for it. I hope Epic does well with this. They're paying close attention. Maybe they start to consult some of the casters, analysts they have on the team and some of the other people in the community and get some feedback on who deserves to be there, not just who's going to be the most famous, right? I really still want this tournament to feel like we're inviting the best of the best players around the world to compete, because I don't want this to feel like, oh yeah, you know, it was crazy how well EU did, but they didn't invite the best NA West players. They invited these guys and they weren't as good. You know what I mean? I really don't want the tournament to turn into that, and I have faith that Epic won't do that. So I guess we'll have to see, and maybe if the players allowed to leak it in the next few weeks, I'll be able to make some videos on who's already going and invited. Speaking of LAN events, remember we have DreamHack Sweden taking place in a couple of days. It's starting on the 18th. I will actually be there. This is gonna be my last video from this setup for a few days. I got some other fun content to put up on the YouTube channel, but if you want to watch all the action, you want to see how the first major LAN event in years is gonna go down, twitch.tv/Aussie Antics. I'm gonna be live every single day of it from the 18th to the 21st, covering all the action. It starts pretty early for the NA guys, but the finals should be looking a lot better for you. If you want to know exactly when it starts, go to the compete tab. It'll obviously convert it to your time zone, because this one is in the compete tab. We're not going to deal with what we had at DreamHack Dallas, where it didn't start, people were leaking the code, there was issues, the servers were laggy. This is in the compete tab. It's a proper tournament. It is going to be insane. We have some of the best players from around the world, EU, NA East, NA West. We have a bunch of Middle East. I've seen some Asia OCE pros going. I think the only region I haven't seen a pro going from is Brazil, but I could be wrong. But it is going to be a sick event. Make sure you tune in my Twitch channel. Make sure you keep up to date. I'll try to make some videos of it, but while I'm actually at DreamHack, it's going to be a lot harder to record videos, but I'll do my best for the YouTube gang. But make sure you're checking out my Twitch channel. All right, guys, that does it for another video. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please chuck a like on it, subscribe to the channel if you haven't, and I'll see you in the next one.